The incidental pivot animation is one of our original animations in Kinetic Text Animator, but this is a look at it as a version 1.08. So in the original version, we had some presets, but we now no longer have built-in fonts, so those aren't there anymore. You can select fonts the same way, but you can select multiple fonts. Note that some fonts do seem to have a trouble with the basically the creativeness of this randomly selected. So sometimes you will see a font come in that you select, and it will basically kind of be converted to like a Times Roman or some sort of font like that. It's just unfortunately, we're trying to work on that, and we'll see if we can get that fixed. But you may have to try some alternate fonts sometimes with this animation, and we apologize for that. Now, this animation works such that you put in, it works better with longer phrases, although with short phrases you'll get a very different, or kind of a different effect. You might try that, but with long phrases, if I add a hard returns and then a double space, what's going to go on with the double space is it decides kind of randomly whether or not it's going to shift or pivot. So if I go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and let this run as one of the samples, and it's basically randomly selecting one of the fonts, sizing it randomly within this range, and where the double spaces occur, it's randomly deciding whether or not it's going to pivot. And then it's randomly selecting the colors, and then it's using these parameters, which we'll go ahead and talk about. But you can see here that this is a very creative, very different animation. Takes up the full stage. We do not have grid option for this one because this animation requires a full stage to work with. Because of the random aspect of it, we really, we cannot get the font, for example, to be within this size range if you've specified a small block area. So this animation is limited to the entire stage. So you select the fonts the same way you do with other animations. The font range can be, you can change that as well. And different colors. You can use presets by clicking on the first font, right-clicking or control-clicking, pardon me, on the first one, and then up comes the options for all four. And in this case, I did that, and then I found that this yellow was just a little too light on that, so I just shifted to a different color that's a little bit darker. And so you can do things like that. So you can pre-select 4 of them and then change one of them that doesn't work or anything like that. Moving down, there's automatically generating line breaks. This option is if you just plunked stuff in, and it would see if it could go ahead and create this kind of animation even if you didn't put in double spaces like I've got there. You have max lines per minimum and maximum lines per text block. You've got a maximum characters per line. Vertical spacing for the groups. So basically, this is a group. Let's come back over here, and we'll move backwards here a little bit. So this is a group, and this is a group, and where it's pivoted. And pause. We can add pauses after punctuation. Extend the end of the time. So basically, after the animation is gone through, we've gotten down to the last line. You can make it pause longer, and then there's a fade out option, and you control that. Of course, there's a drop shadow here. You can turn off the fade out option if you want to. So this effect, just like all the others, once it's on the stage, I can adjust the timing of the overall animation by dragging it left and right. This one, I like to mention that because it can be very long. So if you're trying to match this to someone reading this quote, you may have to dramatically shorten this, and that will result in the text really kind of coming out fast. This effect is better when you don't have to match it to something that's being read in a script, because it just takes longer to develop, and the pivoting part of this animation and so forth doesn't lend itself to try to matching what you say unless someone is talking very slowly. So that's pretty much the incidental pivot animation. This animation is likely to be tweaked a little bit more as it's popular, and a lot of requests for this, small changes and adjustments to this. And it is also a kind of one of the more elaborate animations. Therefore, we tends to require our attention here so far, and so that may continue to happen. So note that some of these things may change, like we had to remove the presets previously. So the incidental pivot is a lot of fun, and it's a great way to provide contrast for the other more kind of predictable animations. And so this one can really kind of spread things out from the viewer's perspective and really change things up. And so that's why we've got this animation is considered one of our more wow factor oriented animations. And so I hope you have a lot of fun with it.